What's up? I'm John Middlekauff, host of the GoLow podcast. You can find it below in the description. Also, you're watching this on the Volumes YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, share it with all your friends. Okay, coming at you live Sunday night with six-time PGA Tour winner, a guy who's finished in the top 10 in this tournament multiple times. Top 6, a top 4. He knows what tough golf is all about. Hunter Mahan, my friend, how you doing, man?
I'm doing excellent. You know, I feel supercharged from what we just saw. It was just, USGA gets banged on a lot for sometimes other setups. They need to be applauded for this tournament and what they did. They gave us an incredible product. We were entertained. I was entertained from Thursday all the way to Sunday. I thought it was just an incredible tournament.
Well, I was diving into your wiki. You've played in this tournament a lot. Obviously, the venues matter, but I would say consistently over time, the toughness of the U.S. Open, right? The length of the rough, the tightness of the fairways, and the greens. Explain what it's like to be a player on the weekend at a U.S. Open and the pressure. I mean, you've been in the mix to win these things.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of what you saw out there was guys, 10, 12 feet. And you can tell that they're so meek. They're just kind of lagging them up there. And that's what you get. Being in below the hole and above the hole and some of the positions that you're in matter a great deal. You might be 30 feet, but if you're putting uphill and most of those uphill putts, the way the ball is going to trickle down, you probably have a pretty straight putt. You saw how many times did you see these guys pin high or pass pin high? And they were just, you can tell they were looking way high. They're looking how my ball is going to come into the hole from even sideways. I saw Xander make a putt that came into the back door. It's just a constant grind on every single shot from the first hole to the last hole. There was just no let-ups on this golf course. You're going to have to grind it out. And if you make a mistake, like we saw a lot of times on 11, guys flying over the green, boom, it's a double. And all of a sudden you make a double on the U.S. Open, it feels like your tournament's over.
Well, let's start on 15. They're tied. And Zalatoris, or maybe he's one down, he pumps it just a little off the fairway, and he's in the tough rough. Fitzpatrick pumps it way into the gallery and gets a great lie and has a much longer shot, but he hits it on the green. What do you think there? And is that just part of, are you better off in the U.S. Open pumping it way into the gallery if there aren't trees than you are just barely missing the fairway?
That was probably the biggest moment of the tournament, right? Like that hole, those guys were battling all day. And you saw his lie. You can just see his whole ball over there, Fitzpatrick, and you can see, it seemed like you can see the hole. He's obviously going to have to shape it. He hit a phenomenal shot, but it just shows you the difference in situation in just that moment, right? Like he was probably thinking, we're tied. We've got 4 holes left. There's a lot of golf to be played, but I have a great opportunity here. And it's right. It was just a phenomenal shot. I still thought Zalatoris, even though he was in the rough, he's been impeccable out of the rough this week. These guys have really been able to hit it, even in the rough, still able to hit it on the green. I know, I think it was 9 when he was kind of out of the rough from about 200 yards. He hit it up there, I think inside 15, made birdie. So I thought he was going to hit a pretty good shot. I was actually surprised, but that just happens, right? You're in the rough. You just don't know what you're going to get sometimes. Obviously, that was the swing hole for the whole tournament when Matt made that putt.
I guess they were tied because they were both 5 under. He birdies, he goes to 6 under. Zalatoris bogeys, goes to 4 under, and then 16, the pins tucked back right. Zalatoris just shows the metal and the stones, birdies the hole. Going into that, obviously the guys were struggling to even get it close. He knocks it within 10 feet. What a shot from the Dallas native! I thought
you could tell. I think Billy and Fitz were kind of in between clubs there, between a 6 and a 5. They knew that long that hole, just the green's been so firm all week. They know if we just fly it anywhere on the green, it's going to get pretty far middle to back there. He'd ripped a 6, obviously flushed it. Matt really was hitting it really nice on the back 9 with his irons. It seemed like he was in complete control. And as soon as Willie hit it, I thought it was leaking. I thought, boy, it's probably going to catch that bunker.
I did too.
Right. And everyone's probably like, oh, it's just a little too, and it just got a great bounce. But it was an absolute, like you said, just a big stone shot. Like you're 1 back with 3 to go. You don't really have time to just hope something happens at that point. You got to be aggressive. And he was, and that's, you rely on your strengths, and his strengths are his irons. And so he had great reason to be aggressive on that shot because he can still put it up in the air. And it was just a phenomenal shot, phenomenal putt. All of a sudden, the game's back on.
Is it fair to say when you were playing your best golf, you were known as a great iron player?
Yes. Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so when you're in that situation and in this type tournament and the greens are rock hard, you're trying to fly it between like 180, 185 or whatever the distance is, and then let it
Yeah.
roll. I mean, how hard, even for the best players in the world, guys like yourself, guys, when you're locked in, I mean, is there just zero margin? Because if you hit it 178, you're in the bunker, right? And if you
Right.
hit it, if you catch it too well, 190, you're going over. It just has to be the perfect shot. I mean, is that basically what you got to do?
Yeah, I mean it's some of the it's 3rd and 10 in a football game, right? In the Super Bowl, you got to need it. You're just going to have to make the throw. When you make the throw, you're going to have to make the swing when you have that opportunity. You're one down, you got to go. I mean, you can't. At 17's a birdie hole for both everybody. 18 was, I felt like 18 was still not easy, but it's not a hole you want to rely on and think that
No,
your length
yeah,
is
I'm
going
with
to
you.
pick it up, right? I mean, that was a great opportunity for him, and he took advantage, and it was just a big time shot. And like you said, I remember Thursday, Friday, I think Victor hit like a 7-iron. He hit it on the front of the green, and it had no chance. Like it was flying over the green. So I think the weather helped the course a little bit. They probably that was one hole. It seemed like the USGA kind of lost it, early on that week, but they kind of made up for it the weekend. It was a tough shot, but you can see the ball was reacting a lot better than it was early in the week, because you would hate for a moment like that for the golf course to sort of take over. And it allowed, Willie to hit a great shot in there and make birdie. I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, in all of his shots he's hitting the majors. I mean, that has to be right up there, given he's 2 shots back, 3 shots to go, 3 holes to go. Just an incredible. Then 17, they both par. Will had a great look. I mean, Fitzpatrick had a pretty good look too. So you go into
right.
you go into 18. I know you never won a major, but you've won PGA tournaments. You have a lead going into 18. Do you got to change your mindset of what you've been hitting? When you're watching him pull out a 3-wood, would you just hit like a 5-iron to the middle of the fairway, or you just got to play your game? I mean, you got a 1-shot lead in a major on Sunday. We just saw Mito, right? I mean, a month ago, screw it up. So, and the only place you can miss is left. And it feels like every once in a while he can get the hooks. Which he did there. I mean, what should he have done? I know the outcome ended up working out, but he was right on the fence there of getting screwed.
Yes. I mean, you play to your strengths. Like I'm always going to lean toward my driver and my irons. Like when I needed a big shot, like I'm always pulling the driver. There's no doubt about it. I feel like I trust that club the most. Matt has kind of it's a quick tempo swing, right? He kind of brings it inside, kind of like it's his swing, right? No one's really going to teach that. You kind of have to work with it. And I think it works with irons fine. But, when you get the longer clubs, when that thing's you got to give it a little bit more time. I mean, it was going pretty fast, right? Kind of like Mito. It's like the body's going, the club's got a long way to go still. So, but I thought the left on that hole, I felt like you hit it right. You're just getting further away from the hole. So I did think if you didn't miss it left, it felt like it was actually an easier shot there. But that's just a big boy fairway bunker shot. I mean, he hoisted it out of there. I thought it was really interesting. Justin Leonard talked about he's been working really hard on developing club speed and Matthew Fitzpatrick. So I think Justin Leonard said he saw him after a tournament, even after he won. He went right back home to Florida and started getting speed. So I think speed, hitting it further, has been a big part of his game and elevating to being a major champion now. But you got to go complete with comfort there. And he's got a great caddy, Billy Foster. Billy Foster's has won countless tournaments. So I'm sure they thought like, this is our best opportunity here to hit the fairway. We don't want to driver. Clearly they might have not confidence with hitting the fairway. The tournaments, they probably feel like it's, we have a great chance to win. But, I don't know if they got lucky, but hitting a fairway bunker shot of that magnitude at that moment is just unbelievable.
For sure. So he hits it on the green. Zalatoris hit a great drive. It doesn't have. What do you do there? I mean, you flirt going dead red. You get a wedge. It spins back too much. You got to go long. He had a good look, but I bet 10 times he hits that shot 10 times. He'd like to be a little closer, right, at your guys' level in that moment. You don't want to get ultra aggressive and end up like screwing yourself, right? So you almost have to be aggressively conservative in a weird way.
You want to give yourself, I mean, after Matt hit it up there, I mean,
so he's 2-putting.
It's all red, right? We got to be aggressive, and he hit a good shot. But I just remember Scheffler's putt and then Fitzpatrick's putt. You're thinking it just doesn't go as much as it looks. And of course, and I mean, just he did exactly what I think everyone was watching is he hit it too high. It's just a putt that looks like it's going to break more right than actually is there. And as the fan, you're watching it over and over and over again, watching it happen. He just hit it too high. It was a great putt. It was a great hole. I mean, he said the putt in 17 is the one that's going to probably bother him because that's up the gut. I mean, you just don't get a better look at a major than that on to tie it up. So that's the one that's going to bother you. But that was a great 18th hole he played. He did everything he could. He played great. He just was one shot short this week.
I mean, you've been at the highest level now around the game and around these guys for a long time. I mean, how many times can you cut this close? I mean, the guy just finished in a playoff. Feels like he's finished. He's been in the last group of the Masters several times. He easily could have won the day. Like, it's just, you say it's going to happen, but you know how hard it is. It's just one of those things. Like, how do you sleep at night if you're him?
Yeah, I think it's, he's still a young guy. I think he needs to get a win, right? Like, I love him for next week, Travelers Championship. I think he's going to win it. I really do. I think it's over. I was thinking about this beginning of the week. I think he's going to win Travelers. I think it's a perfect golf course for him. It's going to set up really well. He can hit his fade kind of on almost every single hole. There's nothing kind of in his way. Like there were some holes there where he needed to draw, and he can tell he's not as comfortable doing that. I think he just looks at it. He's like, I'm 25 years old. I've been in contention twice. I've got so much golf ahead of me. I mean, he is putting. I don't feel like he left putt short today, but his putting wasn't a problem. He just hit a few squirrely drives, probably gave him more fits than anything else. But I mean, he's playing unbelievable golf right now. He's a guy that can in the next calendar year win 3 or 4 times. But those majors are, I mean, you only get 4 opportunities a year. So they feel so special and they feel so unique. And like for as much as you think he knows, he's like, I just got to keep putting myself there. It feels like it's not totally true. It took Phil a long time, Sergio, a lot of great players, a long time to win majors because you just have so few opportunities. But as I said, yesterday was the no laying up guys. Ball striking travels. The way he hits it, I mean, that lasts a lifetime.
For sure. It's why he plays so well at the Masters.
Absolutely.
I mean, next year, LA Country Club, I mean, he's going to be right in the mix there. He can hit it far. For a split second today, more than a split second, a couple holes, it felt like, is Scottie Scheffler really going to rattle off like 5 or 6 wins this year and be the U.S. Open and Masters champion? I mean, what do you know him at all? What's your take on Scottie's game? And is he just an all-time heater, or is this something that's going to stay for a while?
I met Scottie and his dad when Scottie was, 8, 9 years old. And I was taking lessons from Randy Smith, who's Scottie's teacher now. And Randy Smith is an all-time coach. He doesn't get any praise. He doesn't really want any, but he taught me for a really long time, Justin Leonard for a long time, and Scottie Scheffler since he was a kid. And so he deserves mad respect for everything that he's done for a lot of golfers. He's excellent. So I knew Scottie when he was little. And obviously, I went to college and I turned pro, sort of lost touch. But I kept hearing every time I come home, like Scottie, he set it like another course record. Oh, he like broke another course record. And he broke his own course record. He goes low a lot. He is not afraid of any sort of moment. I think he's a guy who's not, like I said, he's not afraid of the moment. I think he's here to stay. There's nothing part of his game that, concerns you. His putting stroke is phenomenal. Like you saw the start today. I mean, just rolling everything in. He has a great, his emotions are completely in check. So none of these moments, you can tell that he's not at all intimidated by anything that's coming his way. So I think he's going to be around a really, really long time.
I didn't want to touch on this, but I mean, it's one of the bigger stories in golf. And you and I were texting and talking about it earlier in the week. The live thing, and I saw Abe answer. He's basically announced without announcing he's going, and people think like, get ready, more names are going. All these people and all these agents. I mean, it's the talk of golf. Just initial takes on live, the product, and just kind of where it's clearly heading with more and more. I mean, Abe Answer is the top 20 player in the world. Bryson, I know he's injured, but I mean, Bryson was a huge get for them a couple weeks ago or whatever. Does it feel like it's going to slow down? Your thoughts?
It's a great question. I've talked to a lot of people about it, trying to gain some sort of perspective, understanding of what's happening. I mean, they have so much freedom in what they're going to do going forward. I mean, they had a 54-hole event, their first one, shotgun start. I don't think that's going to continue. I think they have to eventually go to 72 holes. They're going to and stop the shotgun starts on the weekend. They're getting more legitimate players. They're very international right now, right? It doesn't feel like they're very of like American, and it's kind of a weird way to say it. But Abraham Answer and they got Sergio and Lee and all these top names from Europe they've been there a long, long time. I'm hearing some South Americans might be coming over, but we'll see. We kind of just don't know. But the fields are getting better. They are going to get world ranking points. They're become a more legitimate of a tour. We'll see what the European tour does kind of going forward. I hear guys are going to be allowed to go to Germany, but they're not going to be allowed to play in the Scottish. I'm not sure how that works. It's really interesting. I think if they get through this whole year with 8 tournaments, I think they're going to be pretty excited, and they're going to see kind of where they end up going forward for next year. But I don't see them going away anytime soon. I think they're going to be here for the next few years. We'll see if they get a television contract, which I think they're going to get. I mean, this feels like it's just the beginning, for all the talk and all the players. I think I was happy that the U.S. Open was the U.S. Open, and we got to see an incredible product, and nothing was sort of stained by that. But this isn't going away. We've just really begun this, this turmoil and this interaction between the PGA Tour and the Live Golf. It's really, we've just begun.
Do you think that the kind of the breaking down the dam would be for them to get one of the top American guys? Whether it be one of the guys that have been openly anti them, or even just all of a sudden get a Sam Burns, a Scottie Scheffler, something like that. I'm not saying it doesn't feel like they're close to doing that, but the money, it's going to get harder and harder if they become more and more legitimate, right?
Well, I think it seems like strength is in numbers. It's interesting seeing one guy go, but what about 4 or 5 guys get together and say, and bring their whole group to the Live Tour? Now that's going to be pretty powerful when they just say, this is our number, and then we'll divide it up as we see fit. That would be more powerful than a guy like a Sam Burns going over. If somehow, Spieth and Scheffler and Justin got together and said, well, let's just throw out a ridiculous number and then see what happens. That would be powerful. I think these little guys, one guy here, one guy there, that's okay. That the tour can kind of get through that. But if a big group comes together and says, hey, this is our number, it's astronomical, we'll see what we can get, and they get it, then that would be kind of an interesting story, interesting kind of plot twist to what we're seeing. But I mean, the more tournaments they have, the more going forward, it's going to keep building for them.
Well, I know they have one coming up, and they might have a couple before St. Andrews.
Yeah.
I know we take a lot of pride, like the U.S. Open, the media it feels like over there, I mean, they were just getting peppered in England. It's going to be a really big deal that week in St. Andrews with all the European media, right? Don't you think that's going to, these guys, especially that crew of guys, the Euros are some of their main group. It's only going to even come more to light, especially as more guys go that given week, which, St. Andrews, I know you've played it. It's got to be one of the more special places you can play golf, in a major tournament, right?
It's unbelievable. It's the city, the town's right there behind you in this backdrop, this historic golf course with all these moments you can see in your brain and see in your mind, revisit. It's an incredible place. When you do get to play a British, St. Andrews is definitely a special place, because you get there early. You're there for, it feels like about 10 days or so, kind of getting acclimated. It's an amazing scene. And that will be interesting how the media is going to approach those players. Are they going to be super aggressive, or are they going to be super respectful of the event? And how are the players going to keep talking going forward? Because it feels like if I was the PGA Tour players, I'm done talking about it. Yeah. There are no more statements. There's no more, Rory kind of keeps chirping at it. I think he just needs to stop and say, I'm a PGA Tour member. I'm very proud. I'm trying to win majors and tournaments. I'm not talking about this anymore. But he kind of keeps nibbling at it for some reason. I'm not sure. But that's what I would do if I was a PGA Tour player. I'm like, I'm done talking about this. So we'll see what the media does. They're extremely respectful of the R&A and the British Open. But I mean, they could be really aggressive and they could be really mean toward, Dustin and Abraham and Serge and Lee. I mean, they could go at them pretty hard if they want. So we'll see what happens. I could see both, and I could see, some players just saying, well, I'm not doing media this week. Just go ahead and find me. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes going forward. It's going to be pretty interesting.
Are you guys obligated financially by the tour or by the tournament if they ask you to do the podium to do it? Kind of like in the NFL, you're mandated to talk once a week, or can you avoid it?
I think you could turn it down. I mean, they always ask certain players to do it and stuff.
Most guys do it when they're asked, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, most everyone does it, but I think guys, would Phil decline? Yeah, I think he might. I think he's probably done talking about it. I think there's no. I think guys will talk, and I don't think they'll say anything. I think they'll just be like, "I'm here, gonna play in the British Open, and I don't really need to discuss anything further."
There is going to be one guy who took this week off, who has been very, very supportive of the tour. He wears red on Sunday. Who's we all think is gonna be there, right? And that tournament is sacred to him. Who might have some takes and might have some things to say that week about this whole, because there'll be several events for him to have. I'm sure he's clicked on the YouTube and checked it out, right?
Yeah. He's the best at it, right? He gets up there and he answers every question, but doesn't say anything.
Were you surprised he turned down $700-800 million?
Not really, because I'm sure he talked to them, but you never know what was being asked. And, Tiger's he's only going to do what he wants to do. He's going to respect the tour and the meaning of things, but those guys are working for that live money. I mean, they are doing events, pro-ams, parties, dinners. Like, there's a lot to do. This is not just, it's guaranteed money, but it's not free money. I mean, they're going to work for it every single week they play and do things that we don't even really know about, but they're going to work it that week for sure. And Tiger's done with that. Like, if I'm Tiger, I'm like, listen, if you're advising him, you're like, listen, you're a billionaire now. What do you I think simplicity for his life and what he's doing, he's just trying to get healthy enough to play tournaments, obviously. I mean, he skipped the U.S. Open because he's just not there. So I don't think
he's not glad handing at the chain smokers tournament.
Right. I don't think so. I just don't think, what's he going to do with it? I think he's just kind of like, it's honestly just not worth it for him. I think he just wants to get healthy enough to play tournaments. It's where his mind is right now.
The guys you've talked to and you're friends with on the tour, are they interested? Do a lot of guys turned off by the whole thing, or is it just kind of a mixed bag on the individual?
I think it's a mixed bag of the individual. It seems like most 30 and under are just trying to win tournaments. They really don't have much interest in what's sort of being offered. They just kind of, I think most golfers that I've talked to or have heard are just trying to play golf. They want simplicity in their life. They don't want a lawsuit. They don't want the noise. They just want to know where they're going to play next week and play and not have to answer these questions and go out and just earn their money the best way they can. Most guys just aren't that interested. And if you look at the guys taking the money, they're mostly older guys who've won their tournaments. They have a major, have been extremely close. Like, they have their own legacies, and they just, it's just too good opportunity to sort of pass up. I mean, so it just seems like the younger guys just want to play golf, and they don't want to have they don't want this distraction.
Well, Hunter, that was a fun U.S. Open, and get ready for more live tournaments, because I'm excited to watch this story unfold, man. Happy Father's Day. I know you got a big family, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the day, and talk to you soon, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.